Okay, now with the 2019 general election inching closer, politicians have begun strategizing and realigning. Foes are fast becoming friends, and friends becoming foes in the flash of a second.
Like the game of chess, some politicians have knocked off the party on whose platform they secured victory in 2015 and have joined ranks with other opposition parties. And like a deja vu of events that transpired prior to the 2014 election, a chunk of National Assembly members have dumped the ruling All Progressives Congress, and more than 30 House of Rep members and 10 senators have deserted the APC, with more probably waiting to follow suit.
Now, some state governors might also toe the line of their Benue state counterpart who dumped the APC just last week. And despite the mass exodus of political heavyweights from the party, President Muhammadu Buhari says it will not impact negatively on his party or hinder his victory at the polls in 2019. But not all political watchers share the president's optimism. They say this might just be the beginning of the end for the ruling APC. Well, we have joining us now APC chieftain and former Senate Deputy Minority Leader, distinguished Senator Olorunibe Mamora. Good morning to you and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting
me. Good morning.
Okay.
Thank you.
First off, your immediate reaction to the defections experienced at the National Assembly just last week.
Well, not unexpected.
Okay.
Because there had been rumblings, so to speak, in the National Assembly, and of course in the polity generally. So if in the final analysis the whole thing resulted in the defections, not unexpected. And of course the system, the political system is in a fluid state. So it's in the character, so to speak, of our politics and political actors within the political space.
All right. Now, you have said that it's not unexpected. There has been rumbling. And I would say, or any Nigerian would think that certainly politicians who have been experienced, in fact, who saw this happen in 2014 into 2015, will certainly see this coming. But we didn't see a deployment of tact and deliberateness in handling these issues to ensure it doesn't happen from the ruling party.
Well, I understand what you're saying and where you're coming from. It's not as if efforts were not made, but you also need to accept the reality of our situation. And what is that reality? There are reasons that have been adduced for these actions, of some of the members, ranging from perceived injustice, real or imagined. Of course, the issue of what I call political opportunism and convenience as well. There's also some element of desperation with some of the actors, shopping for a platform to contest election. Again, if you look at the nature of our parties, the ideological divide is blood. It's not very strong. And so it's very easy for people to move because in joining a particular party, most times it's not based on ideology or belief in that party in terms of what it stands for. So just feel that, okay, I just want to get a platform. So these are some of the reasons. And again, it's not as if the party have not been making efforts, or did not make efforts, no. But when people have made up their mind on what to do, it's extremely difficult to want to stop them. So in the circumstance, well, you pick the bits and pieces, and then you move on.
Well, some would say that the APC was never a united party from the onset. You know, there were always small groups within the party. Right from the onset, there were people that identified themselves as NPDP, some old members of CPC and all that. And many would say that since the party was not even, you know, together from the beginning, it was easy for all this to crop up. Do you believe
Well,
so?
I wouldn't say that the party was not together from the outset, because if the party was not together, we would not, because don't forget that what we had was merger, not a coalition.
Okay.
So there's different groups came in to form one single party.
Exactly.
And we went into elections in 2015 under one platform. Not that the components, you know, what was referred to then as legacy parties had their different presidential candidates or different candidates for various elections, you know, governorship or not. No, not that. And probably along the line, they then decided to vote a particular candidate from a particular. No, it wasn't a coalition. You know, it started as that, but you know, formed one united party, All Progressives Congress. So, but possibly along the line, the blending was not taken to the logical end as to make it as robust as it
recall
should
how Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives emerged as the leaders of the National Assembly, and the reaction of the leaders of the APC because they were not the anointed candidates and all that.
Well, that's why I said, I'm not saying that everything was perfect,
Okay.
you know, but in facing the election, the presidential election, we went in for all the elections as one single entity.
Yeah.
So, but and I was saying that possibly along the line, all the other things necessary to, you know, achieve blending, proper blending, probably, well, we didn't achieve that up to the point that the fault lines, so to speak, that existed right from the word go became, wider, as it were, to result in what we're having right now.
Okay, let's go back to the ideology issue you talked about. If you look at the political parties in the First Republic, they seem to have some semblances of ideology, but they were more regionally based and concerned about region and a little bit of suspicion here and there. But in the Second Republic, we saw it better, something close to ideology where, okay, some political parties are talking about free education, others are talking about housing and so on. But right now in the Third Republic, okay, it didn't really last long, and then the political parties now. How do we craft, or how do you develop an ideology? From what point do you really develop an ideology that it sticks to all members of the party?
Well, you see, it's all a function of the practitioners in the system.
Okay.
And we also need to appreciate that just like democracy itself, it's a process. It's not a destination. And over time, the system will be self-refining as to produce what you can call ideal or near ideal situation, where you will then have people joining parties strictly out of belief in what that party stands for.
You believe that can happen in Nigeria?
It's a matter of time. You know, don't write us off.
Close to the election, there is always cross-carpeting.
That's why I say it's and you see, along the line, for example, we might get to a point where we will see the need to possibly amend the Constitution and make it difficult for people, because one of the, to just jump ship and whatever. For example, when you look at the Constitution regarding at what point do you lose your seat? You see, the Constitution is not hard quote and unquote, on those who jump ship and still maintain their seat. Because ordinarily, you know, when you get elected, to the extent that we don't have independent candidacy, when you get elected, it's on the platform of a party. And the ownership of that seat belongs to the party.
Exactly.
True.
Not the individual.
So not individual. So ordinarily, when you jump party, you're supposed to, because you're supposed to go back to the people, but because possibly you might not be elected if you are not on that platform. So if you are changing, then you should go back to seek
To consult the people.
But there's a
mandate.
caveat. There's a crisis in the political party a lawmaker belongs to.
That
He can jump
yes,
ship.
that's what I'm saying, that maybe the provision of the constitution is not hard enough.
Okay.
Okay, so somebody can engineer crisis so that you can achieve your purpose of jumping ship.
Yeah.
But again, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. That's why I talk of process and talking of refining. The systems, has the capacity of refining itself based on experience of the past and taking cognizance of the realities of the moment. Then you can make projections for the future.
Okay. You have a question?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. First of all, let's look at the new chairman of the APC. What he's been doing so far to mend fences and all that. But then we've got him spitting fire somehow, quote and unquote. And some have been saying that he's becoming more of a labor leader than a party leader. Do you support his style of leadership so far? And how impressive has it been really to unite some people? And we got Senator Ted Joshua, coming back after defecting a few days. He said he was back, So what would you say about him?
Well, everyone has his own style, and which oftentimes, again, it's a reflection of the personality of the individual, and of course, a reflection of where the person is coming from. Yes, our national chairman, I have greater respect for him, and the party must have done its own work as to present him as the best person, as it were, to take over from the immediate past chairman, that's Chief Oyegun. Well, the labor background and all that, of course, he has so much energy in him and all that. And of course, coming in at a crisis, period.
True.
So tendency to want to apply some carrot and stick and all that. But in all this, I just want to believe that he means well. Yes, one or two things probably have been done better by way of, because yes, the party might be going through some tough times that will require tough actions, but again, you still have to mellow somehow along the line. But then I think it's just a matter of style.
Okay.
What I don't have any doubt about is that the National Party chairman, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, means well for the
And
party.
he's getting results.
All right.
Well, gradually.
Okay. Now, are we seeing, from what you have seen, in 2014 we saw a merger, like you said, of some political parties towards 2015 election. Right now, we're seeing more of a coalition of some parties that may be called the third force, or however way it is called, but there's
the fourth force.
Or the fourth coalition going into 2015. Do you see a repeat, almost a repeat of 2014, 2015 in the current 2018-2019 election?
You see, for me, it's unlikely to happen that way.
Why not?
That is not to say that because by nature, I'm a conservative optimist,
Okay.
you know, or I believe in conservative optimism. I don't just say, because if you say, oh, nothing will happen, then you probably not be a true student of history.
The same way PDP felt 4 years ago.
So that's why I said conservative optimism. Now, and that's why I believe that if there are challenges, if there are problems, what we need to do is to try and approach these challenges and problems in a manner that we'll be able to reconcile, we'll be able to sort out in an amicable manner. Because if you have a house, if you have an errant child in the family, you don't just throw that child out. The best thing is to reach out and still have a way of, that's my own for a start. Now, having said that, I told you earlier on that what we did then with the various groups, parties, and tendencies that came, we came together to form one single entity, APC. I don't see that happening now. What you're having is a coalition. They are telling us coalition of 39, 40
Opposition parties.
CUPP.
Now, the problem there, it's good for us in APC. You know, the problem or the challenge they will have is if you're not campaigning under the banner or under a particular platform, then you're going to send wrong signals to your supporters, and then you end up confusing them. So what you think you're setting out to achieve may be difficult, if not impossible. That's one. Two is that the issue of ambition of those making up from the various parties is going to come in, whether you like it or not. Three is the timing. In the question of few months from now, INEC will be calling for nomination of candidates for the presidential election, which will come first in February. We are close to that. It's not far at all. So, how do you achieve that with a time frame available? Then, there's also the fourth issue of history. To the best of my knowledge, in the First Republic, you had issue of coalition, then UPGA, United Progressive Grand Alliance. It did not work. In the Second Republic too, I think you had PPA, Progressive Parties or whatever, or Progressive People's Alliance, something like that. It did not work. Even in this dispensation, you recall that in 1999, there was a coalition between Alliance for Democracy and ANPP then, no, APP then, All People's Party, APP, where Chief Olufalaye emerged as the president with Shinkafi from it. Did it work?
But then one thing about history,
well,
it stands a chance of not, moving forward from any point. Do you watch football?
Yes.
So you know what it is in football, how it is in football. That the fact that a team is an underdog and another team is the favorite doesn't mean that the favorite team could win the trophy at the end of the day. Anything can happen, absolutely.
No, I said that at the beginning. That's why I said my approach is cautious optimism. I said that. Okay. So that is, I don't believe in it. Oh, nothing will happen approach. No. And I did say then that if you say something like that, it means you are not being a true student of history.
Yeah.
True.
Because history repeats itself because people fail to learn from history. So that my own approach will be, look, let us look at issues, let us look at challenges and find a way
Both
to
ways.
resolving them. So that we were to just say that, no, I do not, share that. No. So but I'm saying that everything considered so far, we are still the party to beat. Everything, incumbency factor, the achievements of this government, irrespective of what some people are saying.
Irrespective of the insecurity challenges, which the administration promised to tackle, which is still struggling to tackle, disregard for the rule of law that Nigerians have seen.
I will not agree with you that disregard. You see, when you consider rule of law, you will consider whatever public good remains an overriding factor in governance. Public good, public security.
Is the court not supposed to give that support if public good is to be abided by the government? If you want to prevent, are you not supposed to lay your claims on the doorstep of the court?
Don't forget that the information available to government as in, entity, particularly the president of a country, such information may not be available to even the judiciary. And that's why the Constitution itself emphasizes that security, that's number one. Security and welfare can be the primary purpose of government. So when security issue comes in, every other thing is secondary.
And there are reports that Nigerians are getting poorer.
Okay, let me ask you this last
again,
before
I think I will leave that.
Okay, just in 1 minute. What going forward into, because there's going to be lots of drama going into the next election, but what should your political party be cautious about? What do you think?
The political party?
Yes, your political party, APC.
APC. Well, we cannot afford to take the voting populace for granted. So we have to take that on board. That is, we must look at issues they are raising and address them. It's very, because for as long as you are going to the people to seek their votes, you must have a basis. Aside the achievement, there are so many achievements that are underreported. I'm not saying that this government is perfect. No, there's no perfection. In fact, perfection is not an earthly thing. We know that a few things that we need to get right and do differently and all that. Yes.
So in essence, the members shouldn't talk boldly that they know they win the election without considering the electorate.
I have told you that I'm talking of Olorunnibe Mamora.
Okay.
My approach is that.
Cautious optimism.
Yes, cautious optimism.
All right.
Thank you so much, Senator Olorunnibe Mamora. Once a senator, is always a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.